Mallory's Infants is a two-form entry school in northwest London. With 61% of pupils learning English as an additional language and 32% designated as special needs, their Ofsted says very good provision for literacy has contributed to their rising standards. Their Key Stage 1 teacher assessment gives 88% of pupils reading at level 2 and above, rising to 96 for writing and 97 for speaking and listening. Despite its residential suburban location, the school population has shown a steady increase in the number of children with English as an additional language over the last 5 years. In this programme, we'll see how strategic decisions made by the leadership to manage downsizing, interventions and planning and assessment jointly contribute to the effective teaching and learning of literacy.
Key to our success in literacy is building on children's experiences and attainment from the foundation stage, moving that into Key Stage 1 through good planning, good assessment, good tracking procedures, but also doing it in a way which is creative and allows scope for change and flexibility where needed.
The senior leadership team analyse how the tracking and assessment information is monitored from the end of foundation to Key Stage 1.
The reading and writing assessment grids. We've had different ones used over the last couple of years for reception to Year 1. Which one is going to be more useful for Year 1 teachers?
That one we tended to use as mainly an analysis of the way they were reading. I think this one is a better summary.
What we're noticing, particularly with the new phonic programme, is it's all very well them knowing their letter sounds, but we're actually having a lot more children who are not using that information effectively, and that would be really useful for Year 1 teachers to know. The reason we've been looking at why we would want to bring more practice from the foundation stage into Key Stage 1 is because of the essence of what the foundation stage provides for each child. It's the individualised, focused learning aspects that happen in nursery schools that haven't in the past always had the freedom to occur in Key Stage 1 or Key Stage 2 classes. And it's about looking at how we can bring that more succinctly and more appropriately into Key Stage 1 classes.
Due to the growing number of children in the school with specific language needs, the leadership took the strategic decision to downsize their literacy classes across Years 1 and 2.
As I was riding along a bumpy road, I fell off my bike. I scraped my arm and I hurt my ankle. There was lots of blood. We're a two-form entry infant school, and from each of the Year 1 classes, I take 10 mixed ability children, leaving 20 mixed ability children in each of the classrooms, and I do the same from the Year 2 classrooms. So there's 3 teachers with a group of 20 children each, 4 days a week, teaching the same literacy programme to a broad range of abilities. Thank you so much for helping me. Regards, Mrs. Armitage. Oh, I can see something beside the medical kit.
Tissue. A basket.
A basket!
We can tie it on with the wire and we can put the stuff inside.
Should we go and try it?
Yeah.
OK, come on then, let's go and gather round.
And as you know, when you've got 2 different ways of spelling something, it's very difficult to know which one to use.
The benefits in terms of space, in terms of atmosphere, it feels much more spacious and relaxed with 20 than 30. You don't have that pressure that you have when you've got a very full classroom. On Fridays we don't have the downsizing and I have the full 30, so we'll do it in a different way. But I do find the downside is the children that I don't have in my downside literacy class, I do find I slightly lose touch with where they are at with their literacy.
We've got to decide where we're going to put this basket.
Right. Where to put it?
Where?
Here.
Where would be the easiest place to get to the basket, do you think?
Here.
Yeah. You think the front would be the easiest?
You can just get off and grab it.
OK, so shall we try putting it on the front then?
Yeah.
OK, Caitlin, you ready?
Yeah.
Mind my finger.
For us, making decisions about keeping the literacy downsizing grouping hasn't been made easy because We have had quite a sort of bumpy ride on a financial level, being a small school. We have to effectively employ an additional teacher in order to be able to manage that third group.
We do track what impact the downsizing or the smaller groups has on children's progress. And I must say that our results do show, we have very good results.
Senko and Cahill uses a word focus with children withdrawn from a downsized Year 1 class.
Have we been listening to any particular story, or did we read any particular story this week? Ali?
Mrs. Armitage on Wheels.
Very good boy, Mrs. Armitage on Wheels. We are writing about our machines or our animals. Somebody had an animal. Who had an animal in their story? Sabrine, what was your animal?
A horse.
A horse. So we're writing about our machines or our animals and the things we put on them.
As a small school, we have a Senko who works for 2 days a week, which means that in that particular area we are under-resourced. So by keeping and preserving the downsizing, it does enable us to look at ways of meeting the needs of groups of children that otherwise might not be met.
Let's see your plan. Let's look at your plan and see what you were going to put on. You said music. So this horse needs music.
Welcome everybody, it's fantastic so many of you have come. I have very strong feelings.
An additional role of the leadership is to get their parents on board, particularly with reading. The school offers an annual meeting to help with reading at home, individualised training, and draws heavily on parents like Joycener to create a strong community spirit.
Was as soft as a white swan.
That's lovely.
Year 1 teachers, including the Senko, plan their non-fiction unit running up to a piece of recount writing.
So I think it was these questions. Why do kings and queens wear crowns? What are moats? What was a Garter robe? Why did a samurai have a bath before going into battle? So it sort of links into the history work, but there's some new features in there as well. So we'll have to do a lot of discussion about, well, where would you find it? How do you know?
Right.
Looking for those what keywords would you have to find on the page? They're weekly meetings and they focus very much on making sure that we are clear about the learning intentions, the success criteria, what we will be doing in the shared part of the lesson and the phonic focus, but also looking at differentiating the activities that we plan so that the Senko's group can be included in the same focus, albeit differentiated activities for those children.
It's probably quite good for them if the information isn't there, because sometimes you might have to go to more than one book to find out information.
But you can't if it's about that
So,
toy.
okay, but they haven't given all the information, so maybe they would want to go off and write more about the toy.
Because then the person who wrote the questions and wrote the information gets feedback immediately that yes, my questions are effective, yes, they asked the right questions, and yes, it got the answers that I was hoping to get.
Or no, it didn't.
Or no, it didn't,
And this
and
is
I
what I
need
would
to check.
need to put in.
Yeah.
The leadership have identified the Talking Partners and Wave 3 intervention programmes as a priority within their school improvement plan. Talking Partners is a 4-day programme throughout the week, working with small groups of children, focusing on speaking and listening.
Right, guys, today we're going to be playing the barrier game.
Draw a square. What size is it? It's a medium size.
Medium size. Well done.
Draw the roof on top of the square.
In making the decision about embarking on intervention programmes, we needed to look at how we could finance that. And being a school with a small budget, obviously those kind of decisions haven't been easy for us. We haven't been given any extra funding to manage this process. We have to look within our own budgetary decisions to look at how we use it and making it fit these different needs and different purposes as best we can.
Wave 3 is an intensive reading recovery programme working with individual children over a period of 15 weeks.
Can you remember to point to the words as you're reading? All right, good girl, off you go. What does Mum say?
No, not now, I'm too busy.
Good girl, well done.
The frustration for us is that we only have 3 people trained to actually doing Wave 3. So within the school currently there are only 4 children being given Wave 3 support. We'd like to double that, but financially we're stretched to be able to do that.
Do 2 square shapes, medium size, in the middle of the house.
The Talking Partners programme works with 3 children at a time, and we actually are running programmes with Year 1 and Year 2. So we have a lot more children working through the Talking Partners programme and reaping the benefits of that than we do at Wave 3.
At their inset, the senior leadership team and the whole staff evaluate the progress of their literacy-focused assessment for learning.
We've known what we wanted to teach children to do in reading, but we, in past years, identified that we hadn't really had the children in on that little piece of the jigsaw.
When I was looking at the grid that we did a year and a half ago, I was thinking, we said we were there? So just have a look at where you say we are now.
Right. And supporting children through peer and self-assessment. We felt that some children had a very good grasp of that.
Yeah.
And that was reflected in what teachers were observing. But for some children it was still a struggle.
Just things that I've observed, and just today there was one child who gave himself 17 greens, and then there was one child who I'd worked with who did quite well, who gave himself a red, and I felt that they didn't really understand what they were doing when they were evaluating. He'd started the pattern, then realised later on that that wasn't the right pattern, so he'd gone back and corrected himself, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
But he saw it as he hadn't done very well because he'd had to cross out, and so he'd given himself a red.
They need to be very confident, really, to be able to look at themselves objectively, don't they? Or they need to be taught how to do it.
I was going to say they need
Maybe.
to be taught that, because I just think about a situation that we had where the children shared work and looked at each other's work. And some of the children were openly critical and quite brutal when they looked at each other. They said, oh, that's awful, I can't read that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It is about teaching them and giving them criteria for themselves in how they give feedback. You're right, Sharon.
I am so impressed. Hold them up like this so that we can all see each other's beautiful books. What fantastic writers you are.
Key to our success in literacy at Key Stage 1 is the fact that we have worked hard to put good systems in place. So we have systems that support planning, tracking and assessment. And pivotal to all of that, and in terms of pulling it all together, is the fact that I have fantastic staff, both teaching and support staff. Without them, we wouldn't be able to achieve the successes that we do.
Congratulations, excellent work, off you go. Hannah, your writing was really great today, well done. Good on you. Excellent work, Chrissy, that target is there. We can do a new one now, can't we? Well done. For someone who didn't think they could write a whole story, do you think you've done well?
Yeah.
Excellent, good girl, well done, well done.